with allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's see, minutes for the February 8th meeting. Everybody have a chance to read them? Any corrections? I didn't see any problems with them. I'll make a motion to approve them as they're printed. All in favor? Aye. The February 15th meeting minutes. There was one typo in it that didn't affect anything. Anybody have any other corrections? No. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve them as they're printed.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Second to town police department, we did get a report of this. Yep. You have a chance to look at it? Anything unusual in there?
No, nothing unusual.
Oh,
And so let's see. Alarms were up, but they were all false, basically.
years ago, there used to be a real problem that it drove everybody crazy. Is it still like that, or it's been bad enough that they're not going nuts with it? You know, the false alarms? Yeah,
False alarms?
yeah.
Well, they get charged from the Southampton town
Oh, they do?
police,
Okay,
and
good.
also if the fire department comes. I don't know if the charges from the fire, I haven't had a fire, thank God.
Yes, they both, I think they're separate.
Yeah, they're separate entities you get charged from.
Okay.
And as far as traffic stops go, January was 77, February was 91. Of the 91, 4 were ended up with arrests. And basically, those are people off Montauk Highway, I'm thinking. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Let's see, speedy bumps, tables. I know Carrie wanted to quote on them individually. There were 2 on Narrow Lane East, which I definitely want. My neighbors, Sag Road, I don't think anybody wanted any in Sag Road. But it's an alternate, 2 on Daniels Lane, and 1 on Crestview.
Where are the Daniels Lane ones? The map should still be in your. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to see it on the map,
Business,
but
yeah.
But we didn't have the second one on the map, did we?
no, that
And-
got shifted from Sag Road.
No, right, so
I
my
would think that-
question is, could we, well, thank you for trimming the branches on the stop sign, because
Yeah,
the second day that I went after our meeting, the first day you couldn't see the sign and, you know, people went through, but the second day people could actually see it. So I think that's great. I don't know, Bill Barber, you had wanted it, well, I'm going to say near Linda's old house, for lack of better description, because I can't think of that guy's name. The modern house.
Yeah,
What about the idea, if we're going to be able to finance or whatever, have 2, I'm just brainstorming, that we put 2 in the long straightaway, because the stop sign is hopefully now doing its job because you can see it. And then you got that straightaway down past Ira Reynolds, we'll call it the Goldman Tree Farm or whatever we're gonna call it in there, and all the way down to Potato. And when we did hedges, we put it on the straightaway. That's all I'm thinking.
right.
Plus, the roadway by your house has all these drainages,
Yes, that
which should
does
be
slow
slowing
down.
people
And
down.
the stop sign is doing a good job of slowing people
I
down,
think-
as it does on Bridge
Yeah.
Lane.
I talked,
you know, but at Bill's section, you've got children. You got grandchildren, children, and everywhere else you don't. I mean, that, in terms of
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I would think
yeah,
it might be, you get Matt Daniels, if people speed, it's not, I mean, it's nice to keep them under control too.
Well, I just thought the long straight,
What picture is it that we're talking about?
it's one of those dark green ones with it.
They're all dark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to
It's
figure
hard to
out.
see.
Yeah. It is nice to have a picture.
I think it wouldn't hurt, but I think it wouldn't, it's not absolutely necessary at this point. It's up to the rest of the board. It would be- I'm in favor of having one there, just to slow everybody down.
Right.
Just saying in case they-
But what's your favorite location since we're able now, this week we're talking about two, last week we were
We
talking about one.
originally budgeted for 6.
No, but
Right
I
now
mean,
we're
on
talking
two
about
on
5.
Daniels.
Yeah,
So what, Bill, Bill,
Yeah,
what is your
right.
favorite?
Well, I see
for Dan.
I see your concern for further down where the road straightens out and it would slow them down there. And the stop sign really sticks out pretty well right now.
Now you can see it, yeah.
Yeah, and I would say probably one on the straightaway would be more,
Enough.
would be better placed than one coming down the hill. But if you want to do, I don't think there's a need for two of them past the intersection. You know,
Not even down by what I'm gonna call it Erica's and the straight as it heads toward town line there.
no, I wouldn't want, I don't think we need them there. People slow down, there's a lot of brush and stuff, and people do start slowing down for that, just because of visibility.
How about
But like they're along
in the
there,
middle in the Goldman Tree Farm area that the straightaway will come?
further east, I think, kind of down there by 511, somewhere in that area there.
So past the culvert, which we couldn't put it in the culvert area, I don't think signage wise,
That might-
and drains. We want to stay away from drains, I guess. And so, all right, so 511, is 511 near where the big wedding was? I'm sorry, because I.
Yeah,
Yes.
511 is where the guy that bought the store.
And if it went across both sides of traffic,
Oh, and it would have to go.
yeah, obviously it would have to, so then
Yeah,
that helps Potato. People coming out of Potato, it helps people coming out of Peters Pond. And we have the stop signs at Daniels/Fairfield.
it would
And
help
if-
people coming up, approaching Peters Pond.
Right. And I mean, if we still felt we had problems down the line, you could always put a stop sign for Erica's. I mean, someday, if you
Yeah,
felt,
if
rather than
yeah.
another,
Yeah, I would just go with one
like 511-ish.
around 511 somewhere. If everybody else wants.
So that's not what this picture depicts.
No,
That's what it's
No, it's-
further east, I guess.
Right where the wedding was.
Yeah.
well, I did, I mean, you just gotta look at it, if you point out what you want.
I
That's,
think this first one is just past my house.
Oh.
And this is the new stop sign. There you go. This is the new stop sign here. So if we put one, this is just past my house.
Okay.
But they're starting to come down that hill there. Certainly wouldn't hurt to have one there.
I thought it was really coming this way as they approach, you know, your house and Lisa's house. And,
Well, they do go, yeah,
you know, that you would slow
Once they get
coming,
past that
coming
stop
into
sign.
where there's children.
yeah,
And as they come up to it, the Dakers have grandkids there too,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about where you got children, you know, a child with play sign doesn't do anything.
Oh, no, that's hopeless.
But
I
the
don't
speed bump,
believe that.
they'll definitely slow down for it. So we have 2 on Daniels, 1 in Crestview, 2
Okay, so
on
we're
Allen.
back up to Daniels, because I don't know where you want it. I'm not clear.
Well, somebody will take a ride with the engineer and show
But
Yeah.
where?
Well, it's
Are we
just
gonna-
one on
I would
Daniels, right?
I would say leave the one on just past my house, between, just past Cohen's. That, next to my house.
It's gonna be somewhere in this, see the little hand up there,
It's where the one is
It's on
depicted.
The one that's
the
marked
board.
red.
right about there. Right in that-
But roughly the location of this.
Yeah, it's right where this.
Yeah, it's on the one from last week.
Second.
Right.
And then if you go, no, that's 511
All right,
Right here,
the long
there,
straightaways.
right along that straightaway there. Yeah, right around in there.
Sure.
so someplace in here. Correct,
Yeah, see, that's quite a straight
Mhm,
line.
mhm.
from here to here.
And that would slow them down for the intersections coming up too.
Right. That looks good.
So
Right about there,
Right about there,
somewhere in that area.
that's in front of,
That's in front of where the wedding
The
was.
wedding ceremony.
yes,
Yeah.
correct, that's correct.
I would vote for that one, but not the one by the stop sign, which seems to be working.
Okay, you want to take a vote on each one individually?
Okay.
You want to start north or south?
Start north.
Okay, the one near my house, I mean, I'm definitely for that.
Oh.
Uh,
Wait, we haven't talked about that yet. That's the second picture?
I don't have the
Yes,
pictures
that's
out.
now.
Yeah,
Yes,
I have no idea where you're thinking of putting them.
it's that little, is that the little red mark there?
No, it's,
just
One here
east of my,
and
one- Oh, I'm sorry.
just east of my driveway.
which one is your driveway?
There's a lot of trees, so it doesn't show up.
So here-
Take a look.
Here, I'll give it to you.
And you can mark it. You see, that's actually clearer but tiny, but the one we have in our book is kind of like
Is
dark.
that one there too, I guess?
This is.
Yeah, that's the one by your house.
That is it right there. Schwenk's Barn is right, it's just this between me and Schwenk's Barn.
And what's the other one?
The other one is right by Tommy Dunkowski's driveway.
And he requested it as well as others on the street.
He requested it quietly and his wife and his daughter requested it loudly.
And what about how's the stop sign working, or was that always there? That stop sign was
Which one?
always there.
His,
right?
his side was always there. From narrow lane, it was always there.
Okay,
Right.
so how close to town line is this, or, no, not town line.
About a third of the way, right down the street.
There's still
That's
quite
Scott
a,
Harbor.
Yeah,
it's not that.
they're going very fast by the time they get there.
It's nice that that's near the stable because that's an outdoor ring. And,
Oh.
and the cars will go slow there over the bump.
Oh, right, yeah, I didn't think about, I just thought the other side is no house, so nobody would be upset.
Well, yeah, I think you have to consider where you put them in relation to people's driveways and houses.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So do you want to do carry one of the two or?
Well, we're gonna
I
put-
don't think it probably matters. I'm not really gonna know.
Those are pretty nice, well located, those two.
And they're maybe
That's
just
narrow
haven't
lane you're
checked.
talking about, Bill?
Yeah,
What did he say? I didn't hear him.
ones on narrow lane are pretty well spread out. I think they're well located.
And the Sag Road, what are we doing with that?
We haven't gotten to it yet.
Nothing.
Oh,
I
so
thought
we're
the
not
last
talking
meeting,
about
nobody
it.
wanted them on Sag
So
Road,
he-
so
That's,
we moved them down to Daniels.
And at one point, someone had mentioned doing it in front near the post office because people speed through that area.
I don't think we can do anything until they're done ripping the place up.
Wouldn't that be too close to the one that's already installed?
It's not-
I'm not sure if allowed to have them that close, but the other problem would be is then you need to then get rid of the middle thing. The sign.
If it's, I mean,
It couldn't be where they walk.
right, no, it wouldn't be there.
The one on Crestview is kind of halfway between the two.
There's a pretty good spot. When I
Yeah,
went out with the engineer,
looks good.
I figured, I'd gone down before and looked,
Uh-huh.
and like, there's a section of hedge trees and everything, and it had a property line. And both houses are kind of back away from that spot. he came down the road and pointed out the same thing I did. It's like pretty much in the middle of the block, and I thought, oh, that's good. Somebody agrees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
because there are a lot of houses not set that far back, but then again, I mean, they did request it, and it was, I don't know, 10 people.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Good. All right.
So can we just do one bump at a time? And now we know that the 2 bumps on Sag Road are not being voted for.
They're both off the
They're both off the table.
They are.
yeah, last time, nobody seemed to like the idea, so that's,
They're gone.
They're gone. Okay, so that part we're not voting on. Let's start back at narrow with
the eastern one.
the eastern one closest to,
You can vote the road on that.
you can vote the road together on that, not individually? Okay. So we have to do-
And is anybody opposed to them?
Which ones?
The ones on Narrowing East?
No.
Okay,
No,
great.
good.
And Crestview, I think that's easy. Anybody opposed to Crestview? Okay.
And I'm happy that 10 residents actually talk and work together as a nice group. I think that's just
Organized,
wonderful.
yeah.
That's just wonderful.
And Daniels Lane, the 2 on Daniels Lane. I mean, I'm fine with both of them.
I'm good with both of them.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm voting for them.
okay.
I kind of would like to see both of them in the long straightaway. So maybe we have to go individually on them. I don't know what you want to do. Or ask Marilyn, then you'll know. what to do.
Tiebreaker, Mary.
No pressure, Marilyn. I'd like to my point being is I'd like to let the stop sign
Do its job.
do its job first
Yeah.
before we would decide to have one
I
posted.
agree with that. I mean, that's how I felt on Bridge Lane. It made a big difference with the stop signs.
Yeah, I think they've been well trained, the people on Bridge Lane. I think it's doing a pretty darn good job compared to what it was. All right, so Bill, Laura, what do you want to do?
He wants it.
You want both?
I'm good for both. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with both.
I'm good for 2 on the road, but,
Is this
In a
the
different
voting that we're
location.
doing now? I'm
Yes.
against it.
so I'd be against 2 in the current location. Is that what I'm saying here?
Okay, so you want 1 by 511. Who wants 1 by 511?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
There's 3.
Okay. The one by Bill's house,
No,
I'm for that.
I'm for that.
I say no.
I'm going to say no because I really would like to see it further down.
Well, originally we started on 6 of them. and we're
Originally,
down
we
to
didn't
5.
have 2 on Daniels.
Hmm?
Originally, we didn't have 2 on
There's no
Daniels.
reason we can change to anything that people want to do.
Marilyn needs to vote and then we'll see where this goes.
I wanted to see the stop sign do its job. I'm not opposed to revisiting it. I'm not like a hard no in the future. Right now, I'd rather see how the stop sign works. But I would vote for the 511.
Could we wait till the fall paving session, 6 months, to see how the stop sign goes?
Yeah. Okay, so we have 4 speed bumps now. Is that right?
2 on narrow.
1 on Crestview,
1
1
on
on Daniels,
Crestview.
2 on Narrow.
Well, we haven't voted for the others yet, have we?
We just
Yeah,
did.
you just did. You voted 2
I
on
didn't vote for
Narrow,
Crestview, did I?
10 of
Well,
the,
we had at least 3 people
Yeah,
voted
and
for it. I think.
10 of the neighbors wanted over there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm voting a yes for Crestview,
Okay,
but I didn't get a chance
so
to
we got
say yes.
2 on Narrow, 1 on Crestview, and 1 on Daniels. That's 4.
It's 4.
We're all on the same page.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
We're making progress. We didn't maybe
Yep.
get 6, Bill, but there,
Okay,
it was a compromise. We're making progress. You got to go slowly. I think.
so the repaving, they're still surveying. They were out today. I don't know, maybe they finished measuring, so it disappeared. But they get, let's see, in terms of, if they come back with a finished survey of it and a finished number on the paving, do we need, if they come back soon, do we need like a special meeting to keep us up in the schedule to get paid before the summer season?
What the survey will provide us with is a more closer estimate.
Right,
He
right.
gave you an estimate, so you know
Right.
the ballpark. They're out there doing the survey to see the width of the roads and how much they have to take. So that'll allow him to fine tune those numbers. Once that happens, I'll present that back to you, which will be April, but they'll still have time to get it done.
Okay, so,
Now, if he gets it in, I mean, if they're just finishing up, he should be able to get that to me next week. And if it's higher than the numbers that you already looked at, but you didn't approve any of the numbers yet anyway, so
Yeah.
you still have to approve the numbers.
I don't think it's gonna be higher. They took out
I
that,
hope not.
that section by the,
They
the
did too.
stoplight.
Yeah.
There was such a go around with the state DOT about those loops in the pavement that the engineer agreed with Brody and said, forget it, we'll just pave over them. I asked him before, I said, can you just pave over them? He said, work better if we don't. And they wanted us to go into, 10 times this paperwork, and we wanted to, like give them your children to the whole village and all this kind of stuff. And it's just stupid. So we're just gonna pave over the loops, not touch them, not disturb them. But when you come up to a stoplight, there's a sensors in the pavement
Oh.
You see that little, looks like a little cutout?
to trip the light.
For the traffic.
It's a smart light. And so initially, because the pavement is so bad what they're embedded in, he said we really should take it up. And after all this, the state did it. It's their stuff, it's their paving even. And he said, we'll just pave over it, and it's not the best job, but all of a sudden it became a nightmare, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you were back
Yep.
and forth with them trying to figure out
Paving
some way.
over in the intersection on Sag Road, coming up to Montauk Highway, where you come to the light.
Yeah.
That portion of the intersection has all the electronics in it that triggers the light when you come up. Initially, Jim said that we would have to, when we repaved, because it's not that deep, we'd also have to replace all of the electronics, what they call the loops in the road. So that was that $4,000 estimate that we got, a little higher,
I think it was
just
more
under
than
5,
that.
it was more than
Yeah.
that, maybe 8, whatever it was. So then it became a nightmare with DOT because we needed the permit and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And the question was, why do we have to do this? My thought was, let's not leave the intersection a mess, because it's really a mess down there. And Jim said, you can just do an overlay to it. So that's where we're
So
at. We're
the
not replacing the
smart
loops.
lights will still be working?
They're still working, they will work the same. If they're broken, DOT fixes them, not us. We're not responsible for them. So I don't know why we were told that we had to pay for that to begin with. So that's off the table. They're just gonna do a 2-inch overlay over into that intersection, so it'll still look nice and paved, it'll still be neat. And they'll marry it into the deeper repaving on the rest of the road. Okay,
And the pink stakes, what, I was just wondering what the pink stakes are on Sac Road.
They're
Service.
waypoints.
service
They're not-
stakes.
There's white marks. I don't know if you noticed them.
No,
Okay, well,
They're on the pavement.
the fluorescent ones are waypoints. When they survey, usually they find, road bends.
okay,
And so they start off with a couple property markers. Like at my house, they could find the property markers.
right,
And then they get a straight line down to as far as they can before the road turns, and they put a marker there. And so they carry these points through. The next one will be across there, even though the road turns, because that's like, and it has nothing to do with the road at all. It's simply what they set their instruments up on.
Good.
Yeah,
all right.
the road isn't going way over there.
I see.
It just has to do with the line of sight for the measurement. Yeah,
Okay.
Well, it doesn't hurt to ask, you never know.
right,
That's real estate people looking at survey markers.
Yeah.
right.
You never know.
So stay tuned on that.
So if you talk about that real quick with the one, we'll talk to Wade having a special meeting just to.
If you, yes, if you need to,
I mean, I don't want to see it being, us getting back in the queue where it's done towards
Well,
summer.
can't Brian write us one of those miracle things today that we approve that says pending da 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 da?
Of course, you just do it so it doesn't exceed that amount.
All right.
Yeah, so actually, we can
And I
even poll
don't-
the board by email, if we're all in favor of it, which we are. You know, you have to approve the number, we can poll the board by email and ratify it at the next board meeting.
Right, so I
Okay.
don't think it's a big issue. The next meeting's April, what?
Well, back it
April
up.
12th, so it's only 3 weeks away.
Yeah, no, but we don't want to get met out of the lineup
No, no,
for
no,
the
absolutely
paving and
not.
having them do it
No.
in May when people are.
No.
Right. Well, if it comes in, you can email the board.
The white marks on the pavement, they're not, you can't pick them out as much, but the engineer is comparing the cost of I think reclaiming the road fully, the full width, or doing spot reclamation, which is much less expensive. And so he marked out the areas that would require complete, where they actually grind up the road into the base.
Right.
And he said that if there's too much of that, they'll just have to do the whole road. His original thing was for grinding the whole road, so that he tried to start with a top price, so we wouldn't get surprised down the road. And he said if the other spot treatment works, then it'll save some money. So I think the original price on the place, I'm pretty sure is high, but we'll see. Okay, assembly permits.
We're popular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the application of Get Wild benefit, Evelyn Alexander Wildlife Rescue Center for June 24th at 59 Wilkes Lane from 4 to 7 as a cocktail reception. I guess the parking was the issue, and they have all kinds of, well, actually, that's not parking. There will be no parking on Wilkes Lane. Where will the parking be?
So it's a hard map to read, but what they're proposing to do is to park on the south side of Hedges Lane in front of the fields, and on the north side of Hedges Lane to the east of Wilkes, and the other side is to the west. So they're not going to be parking on both sides of the road. They'll offset them. And for Wilkes Lane, they said they would put green cones down the middle, so the guests will come down, they'll drop off at the event, and then the valet parkers will take their cars, bring them around Wilkes and come down the other way. And then park them out on Hedges, so there will be no parking on Wilkes at all for the party.
Okay.
Of course, they'll also have to allow those people that live down there to be able to get to their homes.
Yeah.
Do we have any information on what this wildlife rescue center does and where it is?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's up in, is it Quad?
Yeah, I think West Hampton.
Jane Gill has a lot to do with it. She,
yeah, right.
They're amazing.
they save injured animals and
Oh,
Owls and.
You know,
Yeah, it's a
You know,
good organization.
deer,
Yeah.
Yeah,
geese.
animal, they come, they've got
Swans.
volunteers that come.
Isn't she the cat lady too?
No,
No, she's not, she's wild.
I never saw anything
She's not the feral.
explaining what
Her
they
name
do.
is Jane too. Jane. She, although she lives in
She
Jane
does
does
feral cats too.
Yeah, she does do the cats too.
Yeah.
She might do cats. I met her
Wouldn't
on
surprise me.
early morning.
Is it the same
Yeah,
with the
she does
wildlife
cats.
rescue?
Yes,
It's the
yes,
same
in
thing?
that same spot.
Oh,
Yep.
same.
Yeah, they're in that location.
I just don't understand.
That's been there for years.
So the proposed
needs some
additional
wiring.
structures are 3 tents and a bathroom trailer. The number of people are 250. Total number of people, 290 to 300. The valet company is Richard Rosenberg, I guess. I don't know who that is. Security, they have security, they have all these things in the back here talking about security responsibilities, medical emergencies, police emergencies, fire emergency, lost and found child procedure, weather emergency, communication plan. So they're all set, I guess. Are there any questions?
There are no simple parties.
The tent is a 50 by 75, a 20 cook tent, and a 10 check-in tent.
So they're having more than cocktails?
I think
No.
it's just 2-hour cocktail. parties.
Wow.
Yes, that'd be 3
Well,
hours,
it's
I'm sorry, 4 to
appetizers.
7.
Yeah.
Cocktail reception.
So I make a motion if there are no questions to
I'll second
pass
it.
this.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have this permit application for the Massapequa Bike Club bike tour, which is Sunday, October 1st, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it starts and ends at Southampton High School. And we're going to be going through Bridge Lane, continuing to Town Line through Sag Main Street, Cemetery, Gibson, Daniels, and then leaving, they'll go Hedges Lane to Sag Main to Sagaponic Road. And there's a longer route going around Wainscott Harbor Road.
But the bridge isn't involved in any of that, back north part, I know. I meant the railroad bit.
Yeah. Any questions on that? I guess they've been here a while. How many years have they been doing this?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
We only had 1 year that
Prior to us.
we had problems and they corrected.
Riding on the road.
Well, they're marking everything.
They painted the road.
Oh.
But then,
It went-
Rhodey reminded me, she's right, then they start putting up what I'm gonna call advertising placards. And they did take them down the same day. And by the way the route works, technically, they can start taking down probably midday, the earlier part of the route, and then work their way. through the late.
So the number of people expected are 700. People for the event production is 90.
None of their way stations are anywhere except, isn't it the schools? No, not, I'm not meaning psych school, but I meant like, Bridgehampton School.
No, I don't think so. It's at the bank. It's at Southampton High School, Bridgehampton Bank, and I'm against Firehouse.
Okay.
So their way stations won't be in our area
Yeah, rest stations.
for debris, little tops and all that stuff.
So I make a motion to pass the bike club. So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have a tent permit application for the Poxy
No,
Boat.
then you have the eye track. Okay, right in line. No.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Hampton's Riding Line, I Try, a fundraiser to fundraise for girls in the community, I guess. Or children, do we know what that's for?
Yes,
Really?
that's what it is, to empower,
Women,
yes, and
young women.
young women, yep.
So that's September 23rd, 9 a.m. to 12, and there's a rain date for October 7th. Let's see, 175 people to attend, 25 to run it. No valet, no alcohol, no security, no portable bathrooms. So they've done this before, and the route is Bridge Lane, Sag Main, Sag Road, and the longer route is through Hedges and Town Line. There are maps in your,
Yeah, they're not
So
as clear as I would have
Is
liked
this the
them.
one that when they get on Sag Road, head back to the Channing one?
Yes, they go Sag Road and then they go down
Hillbrook.
Hillhurst and
Yeah.
Old Farm.
They don't go over the bridge.
They don't go over the bridge, no.
Not that the bridge isn't gonna collapse holding a bunch of bikers, but I just don't want them hit the other way.
so I make a motion to accept this permit.
So moved. Second, I mean, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then a tent permit application from Foxborough Golf Center for the junior golf camp. from May 15th to September 15th. That's a 30 by 30. I make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
See,
Oh, good. I wasn't reading the very light writing on that.
next on your agenda is the tentative budget for 23-24. So as per the calendar, I need to present it to you by the end of March, so there you have it. I don't know if you want to
When do you have to have it in,
delve,
passed?
you have to pass it by May 1st. So we can
Do it
do
at
one of
April
two
meeting?
things right now. You can talk about this right now. You can set a work session for it, but you have to have a public hearing held by. That date is right on my head. It has to be held by April 15th. You have to have a public hearing. You can continue it, but it has to be held by that date. So,
What's the first meeting in April?
right, so April 12th would be the, you have a meeting April 12th. So you
Okay.
can hold a public hearing on April 12th.
So after you're done presenting it, or
It-
after we're
it
done
is-
talking.
It is presented.
Oh, okay, so we're done the presenting part. We need to resolve it, a resolution to get under the wire before the 15th.
You have to hold a public
Public
hearing.
hearing,
The public
yeah.
has to have the opportunity to
Right.
weigh in on it. If you like, I can run through the budget, or Bill can run through the budget for you.
I mean, it's fairly simple. It's just slightly different than last year's. The tax rate stays the same. The major adjustments were payroll and attorney's fees, because we anticipate continued litigation from some of our citizens. The whole budget went up 99,000, but since we anticipate revenue of that amount, additional revenue, the tax rate stayed the same.
And also the assessment went up, so that also offsets.
Yeah, and anybody with a building permit can be assessed. So if you did work on your house, you're gonna probably pay a new rate because you did work on your house. I don't know, I mean, we're gonna have a public hearing, so you can take your time and look at it over the next weeks and at the hearing, if there's any thoughts about it. I don't know if we need to do anything with it right now.
The only quick thing I wanted to say to part of our audience was that we're finally budgeting, we're separate, you're off the hook, for the Christmas tree,
Yes.
light. So, I mean, you're not off the hook because I'll be calling you, but we have
still got the lights.
you have the possession of the lights, and now we're actually official. And Rhodey did a wonderful job getting us official electric.
The other part of this is that we are under our tax cap, so you do not have to pierce the tax cap. You don't have to do any of that.
Right. Do you need a motion to set the public hearing for the first week in April?
Yes, we would. So I don't know if anybody has any questions right now. Later, if you'd like to answer anything, or Bill. Yes, you do have to set a public hearing.
And that's printed in here? This,
Yeah, just to make a motion to set a public hearing for the first
yeah,
meeting in April.
make a motion to schedule a public hearing for
April 12th.
Oh, here he's got the 5th day of April. Is that too soon? or-
Is that a typo? Must be a typo.
Oh,
Okay,
you got it. You got number 2.
Well, the 5th is the first week.
The top of the second page, number 2, April 12th.
April 12th is your next meeting. So if I put 5 in there, my apologies.
oh, okay. Didn't mean to pick on.
4/12 it is?
You got it.
Yeah, make a motion to hold a public hearing to present the budget to the public, take comments on April 12th, here at Village Hall. Does that do it? That's
Yes, it is.
close enough?
Perfect.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so study it, memorize it on the 12th or the test.
At the top of the next page, it says that exactly, April 12th. Yeah,
Oh,
public
there we
hearing.
go.
You're
Yeah.
looking, I just realized what you were looking at. That's not my.
Oh.
Well, it's always fun here.
Okay, so we threw out there a while ago, the business of gates. I know the discussion has been back and forth. We got 2 letters from members of the AHRB, expecting more letters than that. The question is, do we have a proposed local law which basically bans gates in the village. Do we want to set a public hearing for it, or we just want to say we don't care? I mean, there's always been this turmoil about banning them. To ban them, it does change the look when people have everything's gated. I don't have much of an opinion either way on it. I don't think they look good, but then again,
I think having sat through architecture meetings even prior, that's where I originally was on the board. Before I entered this board 14 years ago, 15 years ago. I just feel that it's become harder and harder for the architecture board to convince people not to have gates, as well as the continual problem that sometimes runs into 40 minutes with one applicant when there's an agenda with 20 things on it, about making gates with a country open look. Everybody's looking for that solid wall that's mechanical, that slides across and does all types of things. Maybe it serves coffee, I don't know. But I think the architecture board has brought this up numerous times, and I think it would be a good step. There are advantages, and I'm quoting things they've said to people along the way to try to convince them not to do a gate. People who come service their property can actually pull in. They don't park out on the road. So that actually helps traffic calming in our overall picture. I don't think UPS and FedEx will pull in, but I think it allows for transit into properties where people can't get in, so they talk to the call box and jam up the road. The other thing is it became harder and harder. They tried the idea of convincing people to move, the architecture board did, move it back to the gate. And that became very difficult because they said it didn't line up with their hedges, and there were a variety of problems. So I think this is a good step. I think we could, if we change our opinion, we could always, I'm saying delete, I don't know.
Reinstate them.
Reinstate the previous policy. I think it actually allows the architecture people to focus on their agenda on construction, historical preservation on our older buildings that are coming for sale more and more now. And they're just spending an enormous amount of time on this item. And I don't think any of us think they're particularly attractive.
So let's ban them.
Let's ban them and see what happens.
Because you mentioned last time, people can always apply for a variance, so.
no.
No.
Yeah, we
No.
talked about that, but yeah, no, you can't, yeah, so, yeah, if the board, so when the board gives variables, like inches to feet, or, you know, a certain side yard setback, and you need 14, and we say 15, you can, that's varianceable, that you can give a variance on.
Okay.
But when the Board of Trustees acts legislatively and says this is prohibited, a zoning board can't overturn you because you're the ultimate lawgivers. And just for context too of what Lisa said, already the gates and gate posts are banned in the historic district. So that's a major part of the core of Sagaponic and the look. You're just really expanding that now to the entire village, that prohibition.
And even if someone leaves their gate open, the pillars don't allow delivery trucks and landscape vehicles to get into those driveways, because the pillars become these decorative things and you can't clear them with a truck. If you don't have pillars, people can use your driveway.
A question, let's see. I heard at one time that if a gate is set back so many feet from a property line, it's no longer an entry gate and it becomes something else.
More of a definition, but you know,
Yeah.
the village code as is now, it's laid out. If you look at the underline, the crossed out section, we have the existing law, and it has setbacks for requirements of 20 feet if your property is 40,000 square feet. If it's more than 40,000 square feet, it has to be 40 feet back from the road. I mean, it's getting farther and farther in. Obviously, the intent is, as we looked through the agricultural fence last week, this does not apply to agricultural fences, by the way. It's only residential properties. So those fences, you know, we know are important, but you want to have that little bit of a setback if you're pulling a truck in. And that's what the intention is, to, if you have this enormous property, don't have your gate impose traffic and concerns and drop-offs right up to the property edge, but actually pull it back. And if your property gets far larger, pull it even further back. And it becomes, what's the point of this gate, or those kind of things. Yeah, whether it's an entry gate or gate, it's still going to be considered a gate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we can always go backwards on this, so I think it's worth a shot.
So then, Brian, under your description, what about a gate into a pool?
That's different, because that wouldn't really be an entry gate, right? You're not going to.
Okay.
I could see maybe a common fact pattern that comes in and says you're pulling a car back there, perhaps, because there's another, but I think that's probably gonna be okay. That's a pedestrian gate. That's okay.
Okay.
You could have a garden gate. You could have a little gate on your walkway up from Main Street to your house, you know, for the postman, but really it's about cars.
The other thing is, we have 3 applications that are before the board right now. They're not vested because they haven't put the shovel in the ground yet, but they are before the board. So how does the board want to handle those?
Where are
This-
they?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
I think 2 of them have been asked, and I can speak for 2, I'm not the third one. 2 of them have been asked to go back to the applicant, because you realize the person who actually owns the house rarely walks in the door here. So their contractor, or sometimes the gate company, is actually presenting at the meeting. Most of the time, the gate company. And so 2 of them were asked to go back and ask the applicant, do they really need this gate recently? 2 of the ones on the table. And they were also asked to change the look of the gate, one of which was horrifying and very metal. So I think, as for the third one, I don't know about that one. Maybe it's on John's table and coming up.
So the question is, how do you handle them?
Right. So New York law supplies the answer to that. New York law is what's considered a law of the day state, a municipal law. So if applications don't count, it's not like a marker, it's not like an excuse, it's only until the board actually makes its decision. So you could have closed a public hearing, have a pending decision. The board's got to have a board meeting, that board, the regulatory board's got to have a board meeting to approve it. If this board deems it as outlawed and this board hasn't even gotten to its decision, it's moot. It doesn't matter. That's
But
where it's-
could they put into the code that any pending applications can still be considered or grandfathered?
They could, but
We've done it.
yeah.
That's why I'm asking. I just want to
Yeah.
clarify that.
I like bright lines. I like bright lines and clarity.
So then those people that have been before the board, and they would just,
Be moot, it would be out, it would be illegal.
Too bad.
they would not have the gate
It would not happen, correct.
unless you allow them to.
Pending applications, but then where do you cut that pending application off, right? Because if
Oh,
you
yeah,
have an
it's
idea,
We had a date.
Everybody in the world rush your gate application in.
Yeah,
What we did is on the last one, it was as of a date certain.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it in by this date, then you're, you know,
I think this is compared to some of the other ones we've done, a pretty easy thing to put a line in the sand. Because we're not taking square footage or pergolas away, or it's a gate,
giving you the facts.
it's a gate.
So do we vote on it today? Do you have to have a
To
public
set a public
hearing?
hearing.
we
Yes.
set the public hearing today.
Correct.
Right.
If you're interested, set the public hearing.
So the closest
This is 12.
is the 12th, so
Yeah.
couldn't I put
Yeah.
that on the table? Or
I'll
do you
make
want
a
to?
motion to have a public hearing regarding abolition of gates for April 12th of this year. For a second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
So what is the date that makes things moot?
So if the board votes to adopt it on April 12th, it's effective that date. It's when it's approved. The clerk files it with the Department of State. That's really the technicality, but it's going to be on the approval by the board if you make it effective immediately. You could make the effective date some other time. If you want to say it's effective in 30 days or effective in 60 days, I would just make it effective immediately.
When does the notice for the public hearing go out?
definitely.
2 weeks ahead of it?
10 days before the public hearing, so I'll probably put that out next week. I
We can-
So-
we can have the public hearing, we do it that day.
So will the 10 days before the public hearing, will we be having lots of people coming in and trying to? have
But
a
it would
date?
be impossible for them to get through the architectural board process because they wouldn't make the March agenda. Because to get on the agenda, you have to be X amount of days before the agenda for the office to process it. And hence, they would only make the April agenda, and the April meeting is, I can't read the number from here, but it's, no, the April meeting of
Oh,
architecture.
the one after that is.
I'm sorry, I
Oh,
can't.
the architecture. Which one you looking for?
Architecture meeting, the fourth Monday in April, yeah,
24th.
24th, which would be after the 12th, so hence,
Yeah, I'm just trying to
I think we've
keep people
covered our
from being
bases.
upset too much here.
Well, I think they can't make this month's, only the two, and I haven't seen the third one. The ones that Rhodey spoke about that are in the tube could be on this month's agenda if they have all their paperwork in. You know, that's a chronic problem that Rhodey and the office deals with, of people getting their paperwork in on the date before the meeting. The date that they're supposed to have it.
Let's see, are we at dogs yet?
You're at discussion items.
Yeah. Oh, Sag Bridge. I know this probably irritates people, but I bring it up. I think we need some kind of porta-john to start with at the Sag Bridge. The reason I keep bringing it up is because I think it's needed for a bunch of reasons. There are people down there year-round, either duck hunters in the winter or all the various people who fish, crab, kayak, paddleboard through the warmer months. And the thing that really I always feel akin to is the workers who are here all winter. And I know it's been said they can go to Sag Main Beach and use something there, but that's only there 4 months of the year. These people drive an hour or more every day and an hour or more every day to get back home, to come out here and work on wealthy people's estates. And I think providing some kind of facility for them during the day, it's really important. You know, it's a type of thing you do to take care of people. And it annoys me at times to think that, you know, I live in a community of wealthy white, you know, snobs in a sense, who have people come in and do all the hard work on their properties, and they don't, some people do, but there are many people who just are blind to the people who work here. And that's really the reason I keep bringing it up. I think we need to provide for those people. And it's not much you're providing, but at least there's some dignity versus, going in the bushes somewhere. And, driving to Saguenay Beach, it just doesn't make it because it's not there all the time. We're going to Starbucks or a Speedway gas station like the sign in the post office used to recommend. That's not looking out for people. Anyway, we can screen it.
Well, I have something to say.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I don't know that it's up to us to figure out that issue. Maybe it should be the homeowners who hire these people who should come up with the idea as opposed to the village. And I don't see any porta-john being put down by the bridge at all.
Why?
It's Sagaponic.
You wouldn't be there.
Pardon me?
Why wouldn't you want it there?
I would want it somewhere else, not there. It's the
give me this
vista,
one.
it's just being nice and beautiful and flat, and the water and what we've seen all along, it's historical, it's memories. Nothing should be there, especially a porta-john.
So where would you put it?
I don't know, I have to think about it.
Are there any options we could entertain also that has better parking? So to help the good people that work in our community, when they pull up close to the bridge, I have fears of just, how it's narrow and then the road widens out, spacing issues. There's not great parking there. Do we have any property options of like what Carrie's saying that we could actually provide in the village of Sag? A public facility even, and maybe it would start as a porta-john, but maybe it could be actually a flushing toilet. As you remember, in Bridgehampton, they took away 5, I think it was, parking places in the parking lot between Golden Pear and there's Hardware and Patio, and that porta-john is used all day, all the time, and there's room for vehicles to park, to use it. So maybe what we should do is brainstorm some thoughts as to where we could do it, where people could pull in and do it, and a place 5 of us could agree on.
Suggest that place. The thing about the bridge is people are using the bulrushes right now. We have a PhD studying the water quality, and at the same time, we have people discharging into the edge of the pond.
That's not the problem. I watched it on TV the other day, and the problem is agriculture, number 1.
Oh, for the water quality.
Yeah,
Mhm.
not people using the bulrushes.
We need a place for these people to go. We've got one on my street and it's working. And we've got.
Well, I
reports.
suggest possibly keeping the beach open, and it wouldn't be a problem except for July and August. Then we have another issue for those 2 months, but September through June, it could easily be used.
Do we have,
Put one on Peters Pond Lane.
That sounds good.
that
As you
actually,
turn in
as
by
you
the
turn in
trees,
there, there's space.
If there's too long of a line, they can go in the trees.
Back to the nitrogen sources in the pond, the agricultural is 31% problem, and cesspools are 24%. Pets are 9%, atmosphere is 9%, and residential lawns is, well, it doesn't show. But that's what it is.
What was the second?
Cesspool septic is the second, agriculture is the first.
How can they tell between a person going directly in a pond versus a person going in a cesspool and then going into the pond?
I'm not going to answer that
Yeah,
question.
okay. I mean,
So
I'm happy
Can
with.
we
let's put
discuss
Peters
Peter's Pond?
Pond, that's fine.
There's space
I
to do
had
it.
suggested that ages ago, and the clock
We
keeps
did
ticking.
probably say it at some point. I
I did.
kind of remember that.
Yes,
And you do know that's a Southampton trustee road.
that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Does the-
But the verge,
Does the trustee road start at Daniels Lane,
As far
or
as
doesn't it start a little further in?
I thought it always started in a little.
don't know.
We should find out,
Yeah,
because,
there's not gonna be a problem with the
you know, for
trustees.
years, they would
Yeah.
pave the first 100
Right.
feet of Peters Pond
Hmm.
and then leave it.
I always thought the paving was
Yeah. I always
meant
thought that was-
something. Yeah.
well, we can look into it and see.
Is there something wrong with asking the town to keep the porta-john at the beach?
We did. We already did. A friend of mine asked him for years, and Rhodey's been on it this year.
And what's the
What did you
reason?
say, Rhodey?
They don't care.
I don't get a response. So I don't know.
Who do you talk to?
I would imagine it's personnel. I mean, that's my guess, but
Oh, personnel to clean it and maintain it.
sure. I mean,
If we put a
the
porta
facility's
potty on
open,
Peters
somebody's
Pond
gotta go in
Lane,
and close
We'll
them.
find out if it's okay with the town soon enough.
That's very true.
You know, he
So-
has an interesting
So you
point.
just want me to order the porta john to be placed there?
Well, I think we have to agree on it, but
Yes, but
Yeah, I'll build a wood screen around it.
Bill has a good picture of, where was that one, the one you built?
Yeah,
For your work.
right.
And it's not this, it's tasteful, if that could be the word.
And
it's-
he had another good picture too with screening.
Yeah, with
Bushes and
trees, yeah.
Let's put it on the tree farm.
Well, that's where we're talking really, indirectly, because it goes down that Peters Pond Road.
I
The
think,
tree farm doesn't go down.
I think
Peters Pond.
placing one at the bridge is gonna, the word will get around and the guys and the people on the road going to work will know that's where it is and they'll all be stopping there and using it. Whereas if you put it on Peters Pond, maybe they'll say, well, you know, we gotta wait to get to Peters
Yeah,
Pond.
no, it's a good through
You
road.
know.
That'll work.
And there's plenty of room for them to turn around or
Right.
whatever. And if we don't do it too far down Peters Pond Lane, they can park on Daniels Lane, a quick stop and. get
And
back in.
depending on the size of the vehicle, they could pull into Peters Pond and be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It also assists emergency situations for people at Peters Pond Beach,
Right.
truthfully,
Well,
because
that's the other thing. People will be able to use it there. If you got a little kid that needs to go
and, yeah, exactly. So I mean, you have a double option there. Then you've covered north and south in Sagaponic.
That's fine. You'll make me happy.
okay? I say we
Compromise.
put one for now, and who knows, maybe we'll need two eventually. On Peters Pond. Not on the pond, but
Yeah, no, one will, we
At
can
the
clean it,
intersection,
one will
right?
do it.
You want me to put it at the intersection?
probably maybe 100 feet down, so it's not visible. And if you're going this way here, if you're going east on Daniels Lane, you'll be by it before you even, as a public driving through, enjoying the view, you'll be past it before you even see it.
Can we see pictures?
Can
of
you stake it?
What your
Hmm?
building looks like, Bill?
Oh, it's
I
cool.
already showed you.
Is that the one you're talking
Yeah.
about? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Can you stake it and then just send email pictures to all of us so but I understand what you're saying, 100 feet on the east side of the road,
On the east side,
for lack of a better term, the
or maybe
golden
Mr.
area of the road.
Maybe on Mr. Rennett's side. I don't know.
No, there's huge security cameras the whole way down on the other
Well, that
side.
might be good.
It might be. Won't be
Keep
private.
vandals away. I would say 100 feet, well,
Just walk down and see what you're thinking.
Yeah,
Put 'em
100
on.
yards.
That's it.
I'll put a stake down
Yeah.
there, paint it red or whatever, and see what you guys think,
Okay,
Great,
okay?
you can start your building project, Bill.
there we go. Regulating dogs at Gibson Beach. This
There we
this is like the other one. our good attorney drafted up a change in the legislation to match it to what the town does at Sag Main Beach. So we'll be in lockstep with that. And I don't know, do we want to schedule a hearing on it? It'll be a good service, that's for sure.
Well, you are saying that we would be in step with the town, and what is that step?
October 1st, the dogs are only allowed from October 1st to March 30th. It's written in the reverse of the prohibition. October 1st to March 30th, you can have the dogs over the winter time. But from April 1st to September 30th, no dogs,
Anytime.
anytime.
So is there any in between? We could do dogs in the morning, but not the rest of the day?
Well, I went down to Peter's Pond and took a look to see if there was some kind of regulation down there. And the sign says July 1st to Labor Day, dogs are not permitted between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Peter's
And
Pond.
Peter's Pond.
That's what
yeah.
ours say.
So that's, other than that, people can go down there and use that. I mean, as soon as you let the people, continue to use given lane, it's gonna have this continued problems. But
So
They tried the 9 to 5 or 6 sign, correct, Reddy?
yeah,
And it didn't work.
Well, that's our regulation.
Yeah, well, right, that
Yeah,
sign,
that, yeah.
when we had the public meetings in the early part of COVID, maybe, was it?
yeah, we put them on.
We tried that and it didn't help the process. We also tried, I'm gonna call him the dog catcher, but it's a nicer name, the
Dog warden.
door warden, thank you. Down there, and she probably has a huge area in Southampton town, though we do have the right to call them and have them help us. So I think that it's just become a beach that if you want to go for a walk certain times of the day, and even during 9 to 5, that beach always has dogs on it, all the time. And there's numerous times when you go down to the beach, like on Sunday, and there's like little dog fights going on, between people sitting next to each other. And I think we got a lot of pressure when Havens, or whatever the beach was called, in Sag Harbor, limited there. Now, granted, I think some people still walk their dog there.
They have a dog park there.
Yeah, but I think they changed the beach rule there, and I think
There's no dogs on the beach.
Yeah. I also remember when we had our meeting, that we had a big crowd here for, and the people speaking on Zoom, a whole bunch of them didn't even live in Sag. So that alone isn't helping our residents. And I kind of vaguely remember Don explaining how many houses there were in Sag compared from 1970 to now.
That's what
And
you used.
people need beach space in the summer, and we have people upset and complaining about having dog issues at Gibson.
So what about
People
people
still
who do
complaining
live in
about-
Sag?
about the dog.
We have no way of monitoring that, that's the problem.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
are you gonna have them available to walk their dog there at a certain point of the day? That's-
So if we had,
But we have no way of monitoring whether the person lives in Sag or not, because we don't have
let Rhodey, when they start coming in.
I know.
dog warden.
I know, but you're talking about all
I
the
think
people
we should
who don't
change
live
it
in
to
Sag.
Sagaponic.
Well,
What about all the people who do live in Sag?
but the people that came to the meeting, the majority of them complaining about us putting the sign up, the 9 to
Yeah.
5, weren't even Sagaponic residents.
I don't know, I feel like we're doing a lot of negative things, and if we could go slowly and do things not so, totally, you can't have the dog there and just have it in the morning or something, or whenever, maybe that would be better.
This town of Southampton flyer here pretty much covers what Brian has written for Sagaponic. And included in this is a timeframe that people can use certain parts of Southampton. One of which is Peters Pond. It's spelled right out there. And I would suggest we change this to Sagaponic loves dogs as much as you do. Have these flyers available. And when somebody comes in and complains, what are you doing to our dog beach again? Just here, here's the way we feel about it. You can always go to Peters Pond with your dog, but you can't go to Gibson Beach anymore.
Bill said that there was did you just say that you went down to Peters Pond, Bill?
Yeah, July 1st to Labor Day, you can't do it in the middle of the day.
Middle of the day.
But you can go
You can do
early,
morning
you
and
can go
night.
You
late,
can do morning and night.
and outside that, you go anytime you want.
Right. Well, it says here, 9 AM and after 6.
Yeah, that's it.
It's spelled right out there. So in other words, they can go to Peters Pond from 9 AM and after 6, before 9 AM and after 6 PM. It's basically the same.
So what if
That's good to me.
that graphic sign, visual graphic sign said, says no dogs, right? And then under it says, please go to Peters Pond.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
Well, the idea is that it tells you where to go if you want to walk your dog on the beach. So you're not being negative, you're being half negative, I guess. Because you're saying, don't do this at Gibson, but
Where does it say Peters Pond on this, Bill?
Right in the middle, where it says dogs are allowed on town access road beaches, unprotected waterfronts under the following conditions. And then town access
Yes,
road.
I see it, I see
See the
it.
beach roads? So it spells right out. And the other one above it spells out that Sag Main Beach is a recreation area. So you can't go there.
do you know what might be, besides doing the sign, not to make
Well, I
Rhodey's
would've
life
been-
miserable, but I
Gibson
promise
Beach
I'd come in and help fold them in the tax
Absolutely.
bills. Put that in the
We'll
tax
add Gibson Beach too, the one at the top, Carrie.
Say it again?
We'll add Gibson Beach to the one at the top for beach recreation facilities. So the Gibson Beach will be spelled out, but the alternative would be, if you really want to walk Fido before 9 o'clock, take them down to Peters Pond. And we could just make a bunch of these flyers and have them available. And when somebody comes in and wants to know, Pat or Abby can just say, oh, here, this will explain what you can do with your dog.
Sounds good.
And we'll give that a try. And we'll to pass that.
Right.
You're
Set a
right.
public hearing.
So we're okay, we'll have the circus?
think
I
we're
would
gonna have
not
a circus.
set the public hearing the same day that we have the other public hearing, you guys.
I remember when everybody came on Zoom and there was the big petition. I mean, the thing is, we didn't really have, what I remember, and who knows if I'm remembering correctly, is that yes, there were a lot of people not Sagaponic, but there were also quite a few Sagaponic people who wanted to be able to take their dogs there. It is just what people do and enjoy. And then there were, I only remember like 3 people opposing it. So I think that it'd be interesting to know actually what the residents of Sagaponic actually, you're not going to please everybody. And it's hard. It's a really difficult question because people love to.
So by having a public hearing, we will hear,
Yeah,
and hence we can, not meaning to, can your good work, or hence decide to keep it.
Yeah.
That way the public tells us what they think, correct?
That's what it's about.
So we don't adopt anything, we just do the hearing and go from there. I like that idea. Then we find out.
Mhm.
It might be on the cover of the paper, we'll find out.
I doubt it.
Do you want to do it in May? So if you want to avoid the April date?
I don't think you can put 2 laws.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, you don't think there'll be that much about the gates? I don't think
I
anybody-
wouldn't put them together.
No?
The dog people might start talking about the gates. It could cause all types of confusion. You know how people have no parliamentary, well, I don't either, I talk,
Yeah.
but parliamentary procedure ideas,
Online, people in
Right.
Sagaponic need real problems.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, you don't,
And
you
if
don't
you're
want
there,
to.
you might as well chime in on it. I agree with that.
Yeah.
you know, get my 2 cents while I'm here. You know, the other question is, do you want to consider this in the fall instead of the middle of the spring, summer season?
No.
Let this summer go, say we're
Or
contemplating it?
improve our signage this summer, and then in the fall, see if
Consider it.
that helped. Maybe improving our signage would help, or our dog warden person checking. And then in the fall, reassess it. It would worry me tremendously if we put the gates with this on the same time period.
Yeah, I understand that
Too
part,
much.
no gates and all this, but I think we should have something, some kind of a dog regulation rule or whatever you want to call it, by, at least by July 1st.
So why don't you flip it? Why don't you do the Gibson in April and do the gates in May?
Oh,
Or still have the dogs in May.
Well, then you're gonna have about 500 gates.
Yeah.
Before that,
Applications.
that allows them to make the
No,
next
I
I
meeting.
think we should stay with the gates now.
I would stay with the gate.
It's gonna be a can
So
of.
put the dogs in May. Let the dogs out in May. That's.
Yeah, yeah, let's do that. Let's do it in May.
so it'll be May 10th.
And I suggest that we have these flyers picked up, so that, I mean, so they can pick them up and they can read over.
I like the idea that they have the flyer in advance explaining it,
Yeah,
or on our
Pretty-
website as well.
It's pretty, it covers almost everything.
And then if,
Not really many.
depending on the response we
May
get,
10th and 17th.
Okay, so May 10th is your first meeting, 17th is your second meeting. in May.
so we'll do it May 10th.
Okay,
Make a motion to second a public hearing for May 10th to discuss dog regulations at Gibson Lane Beach.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Got a bunch of financial stuff. Let's see, we've got warrants somewhere in here. So I make a motion to expend funds from the, expend money from the general fund in the amount of, is that where I'm going?
That's where you're going, Bill.
In the amount of $49,935.52.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to expend funds from the trust and agency planning account in the amount of $2,573.01.
Second.
All in favor?
aye,
And finally, I make a motion to expend money from the capital highway fund in the amount of $1,192.50.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, that's paying the bills. The environmental, you went to,
Yes,
you want to report on that?
yeah, sure. So,
Which I didn't go to.
They noticed, you know.
I know, I heard that.
I didn't tell them you were going, Bill. I don't know where they went.
You know, you're tall. They notice when you're not there.
here's Bill. So Carrie and I went to the meeting, and Fred Thiel and Anthony Palumbo and Jody Giglio were heading the meeting, and it was really very interesting. They had a lot of points they were talking about, much of what I, unfortunately I had no idea about it, but so it started out there, Susan Harder was talking about reducing light pollution, and that, our village is pretty, we've got good laws, so I was happy about that. But she was talking about street lights and protecting human health, because the high Kelvin blue lights cause macular degeneration, and so she went on about that. One of the things that I didn't know was that the Brookhaven landfill is closing in 2024. And Anthony Lumber was talking about the fact that the DEC has not come up with a plan for us to get rid of our garbage on Long Island, and it's a train wreck waiting to happen. That's exactly what he said. So they were talking about what we can do. A lot of the landfill is with food scraps, and they have this law in place that any large restaurant or any other kind of industry, that they have to compost their food scraps if they're 25 miles within a composting facility, and we've got one in Center Reach, so no one does that. So they were talking about getting better about recycling and capturing opportunities to actually make recycling into businesses. They were talking about, why are we digging for sand when we've got all this glass we can recycle? And then Fred Thiel was talking about that the New York State of Appeals unanimously annulled the mining permits for that were illegally granted by the DEC for sand land. So he was thrilled about that. So that was some good news. Hopefully that is still the case. But the other thing that they talked about was Governor Hochul's building density law, which you sent the information on, Rhodey. So I don't know, did you sign a letter to the opposing
sure,
that? That's great.
certainly.
Yeah, they were talking about the mayor's doing that, so that was good. And one of the most outrageous things to me was that they're allowing Connecticut to dump their dredged waste into the Sound,
Yep.
Fisher's Island. And, I've learned subsequently, it was for Connecticut's big maritime business. And of course, the federal government agreed with Connecticut because they build their nuclear submarines there. So we had no chance, but they're polluting one of our best beds of eelgrass. They're putting it right on top of that. And that's what they use to clean the Sound. So it's really, really discouraging environmentally. And for a little bit of good news is that they did expand the aquamarine, aquaculture bill. So people are getting help with growing sugar kelp, which does clean the water. And I also saw subsequently an article, I can't remember where, but some Shinnecock women.
Southampton
are-
Press, yeah.
Yes,
Right.
I thought that was fantastic after learning about it. I hadn't heard about it. So a group of women they've been granted by the conservation, I can't think of it right now, but they are implementing this program. So that was a little good news, but there was a lot of bad news at the meeting, but very interesting people, devoted people working towards solving these problems.
Was there any representative from the reservation up there?
No, right? We didn't, I don't
From the
think so.
Shinnecock?
No.
They've done an amazing job of cleaning up there, the edge of their shore along Peconic Bay there.
Oh.
It's Peconic Bay. I mean, they've removed waste, they've moved rocks around, cleaned up some beaches and
That's
stuff,
great.
planted eelgrass. They've done a lot through Peconic Estuary, but also working with Cornell Cooperative Extension and saving the bays. And they've really done a lot. And then I saw that article on the kelp.
Fantastic.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
What was the date again? You said the landfill closes? You said in the beginning.
2024.
Wow.
So
That close.
they're like, we have no plan.
That is a train wreck right upon us.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear the date.
Yeah.
It went quick, so I went, oh dear.
I'm not used to speaking.
No, it was more of a thing. I was like, it couldn't be a year away, but it is.
Yeah,
That's
no,
too
it was a big deal, and they spent a lot of time talking about that. I missed. There's
Density is an issue,
Yeah.
transportation,
The what?
density.
Oh,
public
yeah.
transportation,
Right.
they're talking
Transportation.
about the MTA says that we don't deserve any funds on Long Island, that
Oh,
we
yeah.
have plenty. And yeah, there were a lot of issues they brought up, other things.
They were
too.
very negative about the DEC. too.
Yes,
well,
really?
Yes, because they felt like it was for the economic, they did things for economic reasons. They were very negative about DC for the sand land because that was completely illegal. And also about not coming up with a plan for our garbage.
Right.
They're being ignored. So yeah, they were pretty negative about it.
What do they do up in Vermont?
New Hampshire?
New Hampshire. With the
They
garbage.
recycle.
They do?
Yeah, they have
I
a,
mean, is it a type thing like we have where you go to a landfill?
it's much more separated. You know, if you're a self-hauler, I think if you have a service, they take everything, but I know the advertising says that they might call it like zero sorting, so you give it all to them, but then they break it down.
The Carters do,
The Carter does, yeah, that they take it somewhere. And they
unlike
put it-
our
put it
Carters
on a-
don't.
Our
right?
cars
Very
are
well.
now.
I thought some of them did though.
I think they imply they do
That,
it.
Yeah.
that one does, maybe,
The new one that has all the new trucks.
green, yeah, the green
Oh,
waste.
Maggio?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought some of the, no, Brody, I mean, I thought, no.
Not Maggio. Maggio's, they're combined several.
Okay.
Maggio, Suburban, there's another one in there.
S&P
They bought them all
Got
up.
bought from
Oh,
them.
okay.
There's a green one.
There's,
though.
the one you're talking about is different. It's a different green truck. Because
Yeah.
they do, you have to put your recyclables out.
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of it.
But
Sunrise,
NPR
Sunrise, could be Sunrise.
NPR says it's actually 5% of plastic that gets recycled.
Right,
And then not all plastic is recyclable either.
Right, and the plastic films are apparently terrible and,
We need to go back to glass.
right.
yeah, but
Yeah.
glass is recyclable and they can do it.
Like from my beach class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
exactly.
jars of it. I love that. Thanks for going, Marilyn and
Yeah.
Carrie.
Yeah,
Sounds
I was
interesting.
thinking about this whole, I mean, I looked through all that, the governor's program about the housing units, and it was something like 800,000 housing units. And I was thinking, every census, we lose congressional districts because our population has gone down. And I'm thinking, what are these housing units being made for? If our population is going down every year, I mean, they redistrict this and that because our population dropped and the congressional districts keep disappearing.
New York is losing people. They
Yeah,
don't
and
want
so
to
why
lose
do we
people
need
to
all these,
Florida.
where are these houses for? You know, it doesn't, something doesn't seem
And
right.
Florida
not
gets
even-
1,000 new families
Oh, yeah,
a day.
And it's not even, this housing doesn't have to be affordable housing. And they-
right, yeah,
And
They
they
take it
don't
all
have
in one
to,
though. I can get to
be
that.
environmentally, they don't have to do
Exactly.
SEQUAs,
Right,
etc. And, it's outrageous.
it, something sounds funny to that, really. Hopefully they won't pass it.
Do you want me to do a quick report?
Oh, okay, sorry, I skipped over you.
No, it doesn't
Oh,
matter.
okay,
Zoning board had what I call the 5-10 minute meeting where they just read a decision from previous months. The house being decided for a zoning variance is the little white Victorian house on Bridge Lane, which we talked about. And the variance was approved. It's going to allow them to slide forward slightly, taking off the unhistorical porch it has currently when you look at it. And it also allows their septic to have a place to be. That house, if you ever walked around the back of it, is terrifying in relation to the back lot line is maybe 10 feet out.
It's small.
And originally the septic was the old fashioned one we used to have on Gibson Lane, the above ground one with the cement thing. So that's how it was, when they sold it a year or two ago. So that was that. They are going to probably come back to zoning over possible other issues, maybe driveway placement, because they're somewhat of a negative building lot area. It's a very tiny lot, but they also probably will come to us. So we, because of what the septic says, because in that neighborhood, your septic can't go down deep due to the water and basements. And if you recall, the house next door, when they dewatered, remember that whole debacle that there was a collapse and of when they were doing it. Remember, Lee, it went on
The
and,
new house?
yeah, the big monorail
Yeah.
one. So initially, we will probably be talking down the line with them once they get to the point of the septic, because it's gonna have to be covered a little by dirt. And you know how flat it's in there, so, but the zoning board did a nice job with a couple rules in place about preserving the visual view from front. There can't be any fences, bushes, trees, that type of thing
Nice.
in front. So I thought that was cool. Architecture board met February 27th. They had a driveway situation adjourned, a solar adjourned to next time, which is in another week and a half. Sweet Potato LLC on One Potato Road, we've dealt with, zoning's dealt with, everybody's talked about it. And they were adjourned to next month. They need to go back and work a little on their windows. By raising the house up, it is a concern of architecture board, the amount of light being emitted when you raise the house on pilings. It's a very modern pre-existing house. And then there's a section of new window that will hopefully be discussed next time. We'll see. More to follow, as I say. 101 Hedges Lane was an easy one. The applicant wanted to propose a change, what was previously approved brick on the bottom of the house to shingles. That's usually a very quick issue when people change something to shingles. Everyone's happy with the shingles. 542 Segmain is Saxtor. They put forward several small changes in respect to construction in the back. And then two changes that had some discussion for a while. They put what I'm going to call a fancy skirt around the roof line of the porch. To my eye, I'm going to call it more Victorian looking. And that was discussed for a while. And then there also was discussed the drain pipes. By redoing the porch roof, the drain pipes in the picture were just like out there, out and around. So they're going to reconfigure the drain pipes to be flatter and less visible. And much to my surprise, but you know, I'm not the one voting, so they went separately for the approval on everything because of the discussion. The skirting around the porch, which we have not seen previously in our years, or I don't believe historically was there previously either, was approved 3-2. Two people were adamantly against it. One person was kind of in the middle and went with the yeses. Last item was 608 Sag Main Street, demolition of a 2-story home. There was no historical information on that.
Which house is that?
It's a flag.
It's across from Madhu.
Oh,
It was,
It's inside.
it was,
Yes, in there.
so it's like
yeah.
on the bend.
Yeah. There was no historical information or a famous architect building it.
Mhm.
I believe it was in the 70s or 80s,
Right.
possibly.
Yeah.
So again, that would fit within our rules.
Yeah.
What was unique about this is most times when they ask for a demolition, they have something to show the board all drawn up as to what they're planning on doing. They did not at this time have that ready. So the demo will happen and then somewhere along the line, we'll hear again. That's me.
There was a demo on Daniels Lane.
That was from a couple meetings ago, yeah.
Yeah. Is there a new building proposed?
Yes, there was, and
Is
I
that-
mean, I
Is
can't
that a
pull
huge
it,
modern thing or?
I can't in my mind remember if it was modern or traditional.
Is this Farrell?
No, it is not a pharaoh. No, I do remember that part, but maybe, I'm trying to think, maybe that was what I'm gonna call a pseudo, not totally modern, but some modern aspects of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
What's
it's,
the address on it?
I think it's
It's
the,
just before Potato Road.
yeah, it's just.
on the right
Oh,
side,
right,
it's
yeah,
to the-
right
oh,
side.
It's
yeah.
that house, it's been in disarray for years.
It's been
Yeah.
in disarray and,
That's silly fake wall.
Oh, right.
yeah, and we had
Every
that storm
hurricane
and the
it
fake
blows.
hurricane knocked the
Oh,
wall
that
down
was
and
the
then they
fake
didn't
wall
fix
down.
it.
Right.
Yeah, it's been disarray.
Well,
But they did fix the wall finally.
they ripped the whole house is gone now, and
Right.
it's a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah,
It is gorgeous.
it was never a great looking and.
No, it wasn't.
And that when they approve, when these approvals come, our criteria is pretty specific, so I think most of the time we're catching
Yeah, I couldn't remember.
the ones that should be saved. George Washington didn't sleep in that one for sure.
Not that one.
It's gonna be modern now.
Oh, good, you pulled it up, thanks.
Does anybody from the public want to address the board, any gripes or? No? What else? Do we have anything else we need to deal with? I think we made it the end of the agenda.
Everybody, thank you for your hard work on
Yeah.
this. This
No,
is
it's
your
great.
welcome.
Appreciate your numbers.
Numbers,
Yeah. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Oh, do we set a meeting date or we have to set?
You don't set it,
We're good.
It's in there.
You just,
All in favor, aye. Thank you.
Sorry. I'm returning this to you, thank you.